Welcome to Putback on SNY.TV. I'm Ian Begley here with Chris Williamson. Chris, what do we have for the baseline this week?
Well, Ian, so much of this season for the Knicks has been about player development, especially for the young guys. And one of them who's really shined is Kevin Knox.
Yeah, he's been very good early on this season. He's been knocking down the corner three at a very strong rate. And one interesting thing that I heard recently with Knox was that some people with this regime this year, this organization, have been impressed with Knox's resiliency, the toughness that he's shown, not only in games, but, practices and camp and kind of what he's brought day to day to this team. And so that was interesting to me because, the previous Knick regime, there was some question marks about Knox's motor, not even with the Knicks, but coming out of Kentucky, there was questions about his motor. Again, some people looking at Knox this year have been impressed by what they've seen from a resiliency standpoint. And remember, this was a big year for Knox because it was his first year playing for Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau and that whole group. So he had to show something this year for the Knicks to be invested in him long-term. And so far, he's done that.
Welcome, everybody, to the debut of our new segment, Ball Street, where the Knicks trend is your friend. So let's go over the rules here, Ian. Today, we'll be talking about the latest Knicks trends on and off the court, and you and I will give our takes on if we're bullish on a trend continuing or improving or bearish and shying away from our trend. You ready?
Let's do it, Chris.
All right, so at the beginning of the season, it seemed RJ Barrett really only liked playing against the Pacers, but over the last 4 games, this guy has turned it on, averaging 20 points, almost 8 boards. Can he keep this going ahead in the week ahead?
I'm bearish on the shooting piece of it. I think his shooting is going to go up and down over the course of the year, and that's okay. That's natural for a second-year player who's making changes to his jump shot, still getting comfortable with the perimeter shooting. But what I'm bullish on is the assists and the rebounds continuing at that level because Barrett, it seems, whether his shot is there or not on a given night, gives you effort on the glass, rebounding the ball, making drives and distributing the ball, finding open teammates and defending. So I think those will continue, and that's a good thing for the Knicks. But I think the shot, as you would expect, is going to be up and down over the course of the year. And Chris, another Knick who's played pretty well of late, Immanuel Quickley, averaging over 17 points his last 4 games coming into the week. And then he's obviously having a great assist-to-turnover ratio, big impact on the club. Do you think this can continue? What do you think? Can he keep this up?
I think he'll be bullish when it comes to his assist making and his 3-point making. But when it comes to how much points he's going to score, I think I'm a little bearish just because he's still a rookie, even though he looks so comfortable in the offense. And when he's on the floor, you just see things move together. Everybody's in one motion, right? They're very in sync. And so for me, I think Quickley is going to do a great job of helping facilitate the offense, make everybody more relaxed. But as far as the shooting, I think we'll have some ebbs and flows. And the Knicks defense is the #1 scoring defense, Ian, as of Monday. Can Tom Thibodeau's team keep this up?
I'm bearish there, Chris, because not necessarily because of what the Knicks are able to do on defense, because it's been strong, but because of the personnel that they're going to be facing that you mentioned. And also, I think that, for defense, it's so important to have continuity of a roster, maybe year in and year out. And the Knicks, a bunch of new faces playing together for the first time. And if you look at other top defensive teams like the Lakers, they have a core group that's been together for the second year now. And I think that you're going to see them over the long haul put up better defensive metrics than the Knicks because of the talent on defense, but also because of that continuity that the Knicks just don't have because it's a roster that has been pieced together this offseason. And then, Chris, we've talked a lot about Kevin Knox earlier in the episode, and I want to touch back on Knox again because Tom Thibodeau coming into the year talked about the importance of having players who can knock down corner threes. Knox has really done just that. His numbers have been very strong of late. Are you bullish or bearish on Knox keeping this up?
I'm bullish. When you look at what his role is right now, it's not the same as what he had last year. There's not as much expected because you have so much attention placed on the Immanuel Quickleys, the RJ Barretts, the Reggie Bullocks, and Julius Randle. So I think when you have somebody in this position where, you can knock down threes and that's pretty much your main job, it allows you to become more relaxed. You're more confident in that player development that you've got in this Knicks organization now has really shown through with Kenny Payne being able to get the most out of Kevin Knox. And that's something that I think we'll continue to see.
Yeah, role is so important, Chris. Such a great point because Knox, year one, he was shooting the ball as much as he wanted, basically playing a ton of minutes. Year two, his minutes were more limited, taking fewer shots, and I think that maybe contributed to the uneven nature of his season last year. And here he just looks more comfortable, and maybe the Knicks have found a role that has helped him feel a little bit more comfortable on the floor. After the Knicks win in Boston last Sunday, we did see footage of Immanuel Quickley and Obi Toppin singing happy birthday to head coach Tom Thibodeau. Just curious, what did you think of the way these guys carried the tune?
Not Michael Jackson, I'll tell you that. But what I will say, and obviously that's a high bar, but what I will say is that I'm very bullish on the camaraderie for this locker room. I don't think we'll have any type of discontent or tension along the season. They have built a cohesive unit, and it's just fun to see them actually having fun, which is rare. All right, Ian, so now the talk of the town are the Brooklyn Nets, as they have a formidable big three in KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. So what's next as far as the league goes and another superstar potentially being traded?
Yeah, I think you're looking at names like Bradley Beal, Victor Oladipo, maybe even Zach LaVine, because these players are all approaching free agency, uncertain situations with their current teams. And I think you look at Oladipo because with Houston, it seems like they may have passed up on the opportunity to trade for Ben Simmons, instead trading for a player who is going to be free agent. So you would think that they're going to at least consider trading him before the deadline, unless they're convinced that they want to re-sign him. I think that would surprise people around the league if they were locked in right now on the idea of re-signing Oladipo as a free agent. So I would think that they're going to have some conversations about Oladipo. In the offseason, we reported about the Knicks and the Nets keeping an eye on the situation in Chicago with Zach LaVine. So I think a lot of teams are monitoring that one. And then just one note on Victor Oladipo and the Knicks. There are some people in the organization that saw Oladipo in the offseason as a great piece to add to this roster, but it wasn't uniform, certainly. And I don't know that the top decision makers feel that way about Oladipo. So that's just something to keep an eye on as we move forward towards the NBA trade deadline.
Derrick Powell is a veteran agent who represents Jarrett Allen. He's well respected around the league with over 2 decades of experience. He's negotiated over $150 million in player contracts and has also negotiated over $10 million in shoe contracts. What was Wednesday like for you as an agent trying to handle everything going on when such a big trade goes down involving your client?
I didn't know it was going to happen. I felt something was going to happen, but did not know that Jarrett was going to be involved. When the call came, it was turmoil. It was like I was getting text messages, calls from everywhere, calling Jarrett, talking to his mom, talking to Kobe Altman, talking to Sean Marks, trying to prepare Jarrett of things he may need, which number one was a bigger coat. Definitely going to need that going to Cleveland. So just trying to prepare him for that, taking the phone calls, talking to the coach in Cleveland, finding out how they plan on playing him, understanding and saying, listen, Jarrett's not going to be a third big there, right? No, he's not. I mean, it's just so many different things that you try to smooth over before the process actually takes off.
This has been kind of brewing for weeks now, even since before the season. How, for you, do you check in with the Nets and see where things are? Do you check in with other people to try to see where things are? Or do you just let it kind of play out as it's going to play out?
Well, a little of both, right? I have a great relationship with Sean Marks. I usually check in periodically just to see what's going on. Everything that was happening in the past with rumors of trade and James Harden coming to Brooklyn, Sean had assured me at that point that Jarrett was not mentioned in any of those calls, that they had no intention of moving Jarrett. But I've been doing this now 21 years, and I understand the business of basketball. So I know that things happen. My job with Jarrett, I always prepare him and teach him how the business works, because I never want him to be disappointed, blindsided, or not know exactly how the business of basketball works. So
it's got to be tough because you drafted him. and he watched him grow into where he is today. I would imagine that he was probably one of the last players he wanted to put in a deal.
Sean actually said that it was tough for him to actually let Jarrett go because, you know, he had Jarrett since day one, and Jarrett has shown so much progress that he just did not want to let him go. I was surprised, but nothing is so surprising that it crushes you in this business, for me.
For Derrick and Chris, I'm Ian. We'll see you next week on the Putback.